Hey, how's it going, everybody? Shaun here for another movie review, and today we're going to be talking about the 1986 classic, Aliens. That's right, James Cameron's Aliens, directed by James Cameron, story developed by James Cameron and David Giler. Um, it stars Sigourney Weaver, Carrie Henn, Michael Biehn, Paul Reiser, Lance Henriksen, Bill Paxton, William Hope, Jeanette Goldstein, Al Matthews, Mark Rolston, Rico Ross, Colette Hiller, Daniel Cash, Cynthia Dale Scott, and others. The logline plot synopsis is 57 years after surviving an apocalyptic attack aboard her space vessel by merciless space creatures, Officer Ripley awakens from hypersleep and tries to warn anyone who will listen about the predators. Which is kind of true. That's kind of a first act synopsis more than anything. So yeah, I grew up watching Aliens. It was my favorite of the series for a long time, up until I became an adult. It's a lot of people's favorite movie in the series, honestly. It's okay to be wrong. We all grow up. We all change. But it's still a great movie. It's still fantastic. James Cameron really brought his own kind of stamp, his own vision to this world, and he helped define it. He helped kind of broaden out the edges. Ridley Scott's making more of a traditional kind of haunted house movie, if you will. It's a lot of mystery. You don't really understand the kind of the broader context of the world. And Aliens is one of those sequels that gets away with not doing the same thing, which I think is a great thing. I think, and this is true for the whole series, whether good, bad, or indifferent, every Alien movie has its own vibe, has its own kind of feeling, which is unique, right? They're not trying to repeat themselves almost ever. They try to do something different with every outing. And James Cameron, starts that trend with this. And to much success, he takes his kind of his hard edge sci-fi action thriller aesthetic, something, that he's developed over the years, something that, obviously the original Terminator came out, like 4 years before this, or a couple years before this. So that's kind of where his position comes from. He likes to do things that are kind of kinetic and propulsive, things that are kind of populist in a weird way, right? Like he likes kind of broad archetype characters. You have Michael Biehn as the hard Marine. You have Bill Paxton as the silly guy. You have Jeanette Goldstein being the hard ass. You have William Hope being the straight-laced dude. He's the Lieutenant Gorman. And they're all awesome. And you don't have to spend a long time kind of developing the characters, but still allowing them to feel real and feel lived in. They feel a part of the world. That is one of the cool things about this movie, is that it does a good job where a lot of sequels fail, because it's able to, like I said, broaden out the world, broaden out the context, and also deliver something new and exciting. It would have been easy to rest on their laurels and just do another Alien. And that's not at all what happened with Aliens. And I'm very thankful for that. It's awesome. I grew up watching the special edition. I think it's about like 25, 30 minutes longer. And there's a lot of extra texture stuff, a lot of extra character moments. You get the subplot with Ridley and her daughter. She finds out that her daughter actually passed away while she was in hypersleep, floating out in space before she's found. And that kind of informs her relationship, or her incumbent relationship, with Newt, the stowaway, down at this mining colony. And except for in this time, I decided, I was like, well, I've only seen the theatrical cut like a few times, and I was trying to kind of save time a little bit, and I figured, this would be kind of more to the point. But I was also curious, because I'm so familiar with the special edition. I'm so familiar with the beats and the pace of that one. I was like, I wonder what it feels like to come back and watch the theatrical cut after all this time. And I have to say, I think I actually prefer the theatrical cut. I think objectively it is a better experience. Like the special edition is awesome. It's cool. It's something there, but it's something that's kind of more for fans, more for people that just want more Aliens. Losing a lot of the stuff didn't really affect the movie too much. The only scene that I really, really missed in the theatrical cut was the sentry gun scene, where they have that hallway. They set up this motion detecting sentry gun, and all the xenomorphs are trying to get into this room where they're held up. I did miss that. It's a kind of a bummer that wasn't there anymore. I wish there was maybe somebody has a fan cut or whatever where they put that back in there. I'm sure there's other little pieces in the special edition that if you were to put that in there without some of the special edition stuff, maybe it wouldn't work. Maybe the context is lost now. But goddamn, it's such a great sequence, and I really, really, really did miss it here. I like that kind of it is a movie that could totally fall into this concept of sequelitis, right? Because it is on a fundamental level, it still maintains kind of the tone and texture of Alien, but it's just more. You know, there's not one xenomorph, there's a fucking 100 xenomorphs. And everything's just cranked up to 11. Everything has got this kind of propulsive, just like like feel to the whole movie. And that's even reflected in the score for the film, which is a fantastic score. The score is by James Horner. You know, James Horner. Come on, we all know who James Horner is. James Horner, he's a guy who just works constantly, does a lot of good stuff. He's, you know, The Mask of Zorro. He did Titanic. You know, he did the most recent Magnificent Seven, Southpaw, The Karate Kid, Days of the Falcon, Apocalypto. Yeah, he's really good at this kind of specific kind of populist style of filmmaking, right? You know, he did Braveheart, he did Legends of the Fall, The Page Master, We're Back, A Dinosaur Story. Yeah, he's just kind of got like this kind of populist vibe to the way he writes music. He seems like he's a little bit chameleon-like, right? He kind of goes in and works with the director and services the film, services their vision. And he delivers in spades on Aliens. It's one of my favorite movie scores of the era, actually. Just because of how almost like it's almost cartoony. Like it could almost be too much. But with Cameron's direction, it hits all the right beats, and it really elevates the movie and gives it its kind of sense of excitement and pace. That's why the movie feels so propulsive. It's not just the action. It's not just, you know, the things that happen in the story, but the music is used so effectively. Like the ending scene, like where Ripley's fighting the Queen alien, that whole sequence, and it's scored to that great kind of concussive, like it makes it so awesome. And also just as the editors and Cameron, when to use the music and when to kind of drop it out, you know, especially during that sequence. It's so amazing. It's just an incredible sequence. It's like a all-timer. This movie is full of all-time great moments too. You know, even just some of the performances. I mean, Michael Biehn had done Terminator, but I feel like this character, you know, Corporal Hicks, is just as kind of memorable and just as big of a character as what's his name, Kyle Reese in Terminator. You know, now that we have enough distance and Michael Bihn's career is kind of what it is now, when I think back on Michael Biehn, I think of this character just as much as I think of Kyle Reese, and he's great. You know, he does his job so well in this movie, and I think everybody does too. Like Sigourney Weaver coming back is she does a different take on Ripley, and one that makes complete sense, right? Like she is the PTSD Ripley. She's been traumatized. She's kind of fucking super stressed. She does this kind of reluctantly because she understands, like, if this creature were to get out, if this is a thing, then we have to destroy it. And if I can help facilitate that and save some lives, I'll do so. And that's, you know, another thing I guess that the theatrical cut is missing, is because you really get a sense that Ripley doesn't have anything else anymore. Her life, everyone she knew, her daughter, they're all dead. So it kind of gives her more motivation, more of an impetus to actually go on this expedition with the Marines. In the theatrical cut, it's a little bit more just kind of straightforward. It's not as nuanced of a character leap, right? But like I said, it's still effective. It's so hard for me though, because how can I separate the fact that I've seen the special edition like a million times? Like I've seen it so many times, so I know where all the missing pieces are for the most part. So when I watch the theatrical cut, like I can fill in those gaps myself because I've seen it so many times. So maybe saying that the theatrical one is like the superior version might be like, you know, slightly unfair. Maybe I'm being a little unkind to the special edition, but I don't know. I think this one is just better paced because it just doesn't get bogged down. And it's specifically because of the kind of movie it is. You know, it's an action thriller. You got to move. You got to keep moving. And this movie also does a really great job of that. It starts a little slower than I remembered. It's about 45 minutes before really anything happens. I think it's like 47 minutes into the movie before they get in there and they even see that the xenomorphs have, like, they've cocooned all of the colonists and whatnot on the walls, and people are like, oh, please kill me, and then they get their first attack. That's pretty far into the movie. It does a great job of kind of establishing the world, though, establishing the characters, even though every character gets a little moment, even in the beginning. Even in the beginning of the movie, they all get these little character defining moments, and you're just like, oh, I understand this person. I know how this goes. I know how this works. A person to point out specifically is Lance Henriksen as Bishop. He is fantastic in this. It's one of my favorite Lance Henriksen roles. And he's a guy, he's no slouch. I've always really enjoyed the work of Lance Henriksen, even from Pumpkinhead to Aliens, Hard Target, Near Dark, Just a great character actor of the era. And apparently, this was like his last stab at Hollywood before he was gonna, I guess, retire, maybe go just back to stage. He was just like, fuck, I just cannot make any headway. And this was kind of his last thing. Because Lance Henriksen, he has a bit part in Terminator. So that's probably how he gets this role, because of James Cameron connection. And yeah, this movie ends up being huge. It's a huge movie. Everybody loves Aliens. But he's so fucking good in this. And I love the tension between Ripley and Bishop. And I love the way that Lance Henriksen plays it. And he just kind of maintains this really consistent, like, kind of just cool, even-keeled attitude that he has. It's a matter-of-factness about him. Actually, one of the scenes that actually gives me, to this day, gives me an anxiety is when he has to crawl through the fucking narrow, the tubing, the tunnel, and it's just a shot of him and his shoulders, and he's going like this. And every once in a while, the movie just cuts back to him, still going. Yeah, I love it. And that's another one of these things that Cameron was successfully able to kind of build into the movie, is that he adds this kind of ticking clock element to the movie. And that's what kind of propels the story forward. That's what propels the action. That's what gives you a sense of dread. It also allows them to constantly change the parameters of what these characters are having to deal with. The situation is constantly evolving. It's very fluid, you might say. And I kind of like the fact that also that, most of the cast, what was it most? Well, I would say 2/3 of the cast of the Marines and everybody that goes down to the planet, they live pretty close to the end of the movie. They live basically to the top of the third act, because it doesn't make them stupid. They're not out there doing stupid fucking things. They learn real quick. They're cocky, and they go in guns ablazing, not really understanding or appreciating or respecting, what Ripley's trying to tell them or the situation itself. They're just like these gung-ho badasses, and they get fucking taken down a notch immediately. And that's when they actually rely on the fact that they are actually good at their job. And I do like that, because a lot of times in horror movies and alien movies as well, is that characters just do the dumbest shit. And you're like, well, fuck. I guess, it makes sense that you died because you're an idiot. And the characters in this kind of largely avoid that. And I was appreciative of that. That's like another alien movie, specifically Prometheus. And I'm not a Prometheus hater per se. I enjoy Prometheus well enough. I actually kind of enjoy Alien Covenant as well. But the characters in that movie, the thing that actually makes that movie annoying is the characters are brain dead. They're just the fucking worst. They just have no sense of just rational logic. Like these two scientists that go in and they're fucking poking at the or the ovum, the egg thing, and the creature comes out. And he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna play with it. I'm gonna go stick my face in next to it. This alien creature on this planet." You don't get a lot of that in Alien or Aliens. They're seem just more. It's just better written, I guess. Which is it's a testament to Cameron, because this was a very troubled production. He's apparently, famously, he's kind of an asshole. And he was over in England, and the English crews could not fucking stand him. and they actually would like sabotage days. And if you ever get the Blu-ray box set, it has all the special features from the old like Alien quadrilogy, the DVD set. I used to have that too, and on there is some of my favorite like special features, because it has like feature-length documentaries on the making of each film. Even like Alien 3 gets its day in court, and it's awesome. I love the making of Aliens. I actually enjoy watching the making just as much as I enjoy watching the movie itself. And that whole set and all of the special features on that set are great. They're fantastic. Well worth your time if you're a fan of the films. Obviously, right? The only other movie set, like the supplements that were maybe that thorough, that good, is maybe like the Lord of the Rings extended editions, because they have like it's like a 10-hour documentary that goes through all the movies, and it's awesome. I actually, I bought the Hobbit extended editions, movies that I don't particularly love, because of the promise of those documentaries. And the documentaries are better than the movie. I enjoy watching how they made The Hobbit more than I like watching The Hobbit. But I guess that's a story for another day. But yeah, it's Aliens rocks, dude. Aliens is really good. It's I wouldn't, it's not scary. I guess like the original one, if you're in the right mood and you turn off the lights, it's the middle of the night, and you just you have the opportunity to kind of crank the sound and really immerse yourself. It's kind of a creepy movie. It can be actually quite effective. I would say Aliens is not like that. I don't think it's its goal. It does demystify the xenomorphs, and I think that is probably the number one complaint people have with Aliens, and I think it's a fair criticism. I don't think it doesn't make the movies not work. It may have hurt the movies in the future, and maybe the franchise and what they saw the potential with like future sequels. But in the movie, it works though. But I agree. They kind of take the power away from the xenomorph. It's not as scary when you're just fighting like 100 of them. There was something really like singularly terrifying in a kind of a Mike Myers or a Jason kind of way, like as a slasher, almost a slasher villain. Somebody like, going around this house, taking people out one by one. Very cool. Very cool. But I think, obviously in the context of the movie, it works really well. Like I said, it is a very sequel. It has sequelitis things. But it's just well crafted enough that you overlook that stuff. I mean, he literally, at the end of the movie, Ripley literally fights a giant alien, like the Queen. It fights the big one, like that is such a action movie sequel trope almost. But for some reason, I don't know why, in Aliens, this never bothered me. I never even thought twice about it. Really, like it being like a negative. Just works. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to know more about Zoobox, there's a bunch of links in the description for Facebook, for Instagram, for my Twitter, for my brother Dan's Twitter. Also, our email address if you ever want to drop us a line. And also leave in the comments, what would you like? What's your favorite Alien movie? Is Aliens your favorite? Is Alien your favorite? Or do you like Alien Resurrection? I bet you like Alien Resurrection. That's probably your favorite because you're one of those people. Probably French. All right, everybody. You have the best day ever. Goodbye.